We open with an ode that acknowledges that each of us, as we go back through the generations, are ultimately related to each other. Our ancestors have brought us forward to this time and place, and it's the power of aloha that unites us here. On this day, we celebrate a changing of seasons, marked by the astronomical marker known by ancient people around the world, the march of the sun's course, and specific days upon which the sun sets at a particular landmark when seen from a prescribed spot. And near this spot stood the heiau Kapolei, considered the sister temple to Papa Ena at the foot of Puʻu, now called Diamond Head, from which observances of the year's changing seasons were made at its kuaku, or altar, called Opunaha. As we gather today to make our observances from this ancient site, we begin with a hula velina, a hula of welcome, dedicated to the god of fresh water and sunlight, Kane. For ancient Hawaiians, the passing of each day, the cycle of the moon, the slow changes across the year were all governed by the Kineapua, the myriad gods that we addressed in that short chant. We have been in the season of Ho'oilo, the so-called Hawaiian winter, when rains are frequent and the days and nights are cooler. It's marked by the Makahiki, a time of peace and celebration of the god Lono. And as his season passes, we acknowledge his recent prominence with chants to Lono. in the chant just presented were named the many cloud forms of Lono. The long cloud, the short cloud, the clouds that build high, and those that peek through. And if you recall the unstable winter storm days of the past months, you see that what was chanted is what we all see during the winter, what meteorologists call the multiple étages. And later in this chant, reference to the great banner of the Makahiki, the staff of Lono, with its brilliant white hanging kapa, and topping it all, the pearl-eyed Makaiba Lono image, a magnificent figure towering over the Makahiki procession and games. So the line of chant that says, Amo amo kia kuala au nui o Lono, resplendent is the great wooden figure of Lono. During the season of Lono is a time of atonement, where the shortcomings of leaders is acknowledged and forgiven, and all haulia environments of the heiau of the temples are cleansed, and their kapu restored as spiritual faults are taken away by Lono. We present one of these chants of atonement for you now. Lono itawali ki, Lono limo, Lono lani, Lono itanamai, Lono itabakaiwa, Lono ikiomela uea, Lono ekalaeno. In contrast to the season of Lono, where governance was relaxed and warfare was forbidden, the Kauwela is a time of chief reaction and for the reactivation of the temples of governance called Luakini. These heiau are dedicated to Puʻu, the god of warfare, of chiefly governance. Puʻu was one of these Luakini heiau that stood very close to this spot. The most exalted of the many manifestations of Puʻu is Puʻu, who resides in the highest strata of the atmosphere and is the head of all of the Puʻu gods. In that chant to Puʻu as a new dedication of the Luakini heiau, the idea is that the would be gathered up and they would be the sacrifice for the initiation of proper governance. It points to any of the lawbreakers as being selected for that purpose. So, such is the Puʻu to Puʻu in this season, presented for the high chief of the Luakini. In the mid-1600s, during the reign of Kapolei, one of the most famous chiefs of the island of Oahu, an amazing battle occurred, in which the heiau of Opunaha figures prominently. And at the heart of this battle was a man named Kapolei, who lived in Honolulu, near the slopes slopes of Puʻu, which is now called Punchbowl Creek today. Kapolei lived in a place called Kahehuna in the vicinity of Honolulu long before the arrival of Captain Cook, in the days when there were far fewer people living there, and the area was vegetated in dry forests, shrublands, and fields of pili grass. During an errand gathering pili grass to Ribachi's house on the slopes of Puʻu, which was then covered with pili grassland, he found some puʻu eggs. Puʻu is a Hawaiian owl. And he gathered the eggs with the intent to have them for his dinner when he got home. But while he was preparing the hot coals in his house, an owl alit on the fence near the entrance to the house and called, "Hey, Kapolei, give me my eggs." Now, if an owl landed outside my door and asked me to do something, anything, actually, I'd probably be inclined to obey. But instead, Kapolei inquired, "How many eggs?" "7 eggs," answered the owl immediately. Then Kapolei said, "I intend to broil these eggs for my dinner." The owl repeated his command, "Hey, Kapolei, give me my eggs." But Kapolei persisted, "I'm going to broil these eggs." Finally, the puʻu told him, "You are heartless, Kapolei, if you do not return my eggs." And Kapolei relented and told the owl, "Come fetch your eggs." Before we go on though, we should try to understand Kapolei's point of view and the reason for his reluctant behavior. Kapolei was probably raised and taught to recognize and obey his aumakua, his family gods, and to know the forms that they would take in the material world to communicate with him. Perhaps a particular shark in his familiar fishing grounds. He would be sure to care and see to the needs of his aumakua. But this owl that appeared at his door, it surely was a physical manifestation of a god, since it talked to him. But he certainly did not recognize this new supernatural presence in his life. How would he know if it was benign, or perhaps it meant ill for him? But being well trained in courtesy to aumakua, Kapolei would not be so foolish as to outright deny the request. Instead, he made a strategic counter-suggestion, voicing his intentions. If this was a benign god who could sympathize with his hunger, perhaps it would allow him to keep and eat the eggs. But no, the owl repeats his demand. He tries one more time to voice his desire and avoid obeying the aumakua. For the fact is, if he obeys the akua, he has accepted the akua as his and must therefore obey every subsequent command. Who knows what the new akua may ask of him? But when the owl insists a third time and scolds Kapolei for being inconsiderate, it's too much. Humans who deny the gods often come to ill ends, so Kapolei relents, even though he knows he will have to now be obedient to his new owl aumakua. And sure enough, the puʻu ordered Kapolei to make a heiau, that is, a large stone temple, and to erect an altar and an offering platform, and to name this new heiau Manu'a. Kapolei built the heiau and sanctified it, placing it under kapu and made proper offerings upon the platform, and after the rites were observed properly, the kapu was lifted. Well, word of this spread, and the high chief Kakuhihewa, king of all of the island of Oahu, heard of Kapolei's actions while he was at his beach compound in Waikiki. He heard that Kapolei had built a heiau and conducted the rites, placing kapu on it and making offerings and then lifting the kapu. And of course at that time it was decreed law, if any chief or any person built a heiau and placed kapu upon it and lifted kapu while the heiau of the ruling chief was under kapu and the rites not yet completed, that is an action of a rebel and the punishment was death. Therefore, Kapolei was arrested as a kapu violator and led to Waikiki to the heiau of Kupalaha that stood right near this spot to be sacrificed as a lawbreaker, to sanctify the heiau for the season of food. In other words, it is likely that at this spot, at this time of season, hundreds of years ago, Kapolei would have been held captive, awaiting his death. But as that day approached, an amazing thing happened. The owls of Hawaii, Lanai, Maui, and Molokai flew to Oahu and gathered at Kalapuʻu in the vicinity of Makapuʻu. The owls of Oahu group themselves at Puʻu in Nukuanu Valley, and the owls of Kauai and Ni'ihau all gathered at Puʻu Hulului near Moanalua Valley. The day arrived when Kapolei was to be killed and put on the sacrificial platform. But as the dawn broke, the light of the emerging sun was completely blocked by the huge numbers of owls in the air. The owls flew in and clawed at the faces of Kakuhihewa's warriors, at their eyes and noses, and defiled the army of Kakuhihewa, showering them with their droppings. To this day, the place just down the road here is called Puʻu, daily droppings of the Puʻu. The owls were victorious over the men of Kakuhihewa. But Kakuhihewa was not some evil chief, but instead recognized from this supernatural battle that Kapolei had not been roasting and disobeying him, but only being obedient to a higher authority. And he told Kapolei, "You have an akua of great mana." So Kapolei was spared, rescued from certain death, and mana was conferred on the deified owl, and the owl god's name is Puʻu. The story of Kapolei and Puʻu is celebrated here in a hula created and choreographed by our dancers and danced to a mele composed by our chanters. In it, you will see Kapolei pulling pili grass, finding the eggs, being interrupted by the owl god Puʻu and accepting him as his akua, building a heiau for him in conflict with the orders of the high chief Kakuhihewa. You'll see the amassing of the owls and their battle with the people of Oahu, rescuing Kapolei from death in the mele of Puʻu.
Hey,
So Kapolei is rescued by the owl Puʻu and his army of owls. The theme of rescue from certain death and of owls and luakini heiau find their way into a chant of healing called A'aimano that we want to share with you today. The words to A'aimano are on that tree over there. I don't know whether or not the words are big enough for you to see. But if we look at the meaning of the words, A'aimano, inone o kapue o kanimayana o kona luakini, and that roughly translates to malingering illness causes the owl to fret and hoot at his luakini heiau. Ina e ke kamali'i hikilele na o hanae. In other words, if the child should turn abnormal, if he should stray from normalcy and into illness, the entire ohana is perturbed. And in this case, ohana is just not the living immediate family, but the lines of family behind the sick child into the realm of the aumakua, the family gods. Ekekia. So extend the prayer of healing. Lono, end this illness, Lono. He is healed. So that is the puʻu. It's a very short one and a very obscure one. You would wonder, why is this puʻu to healing talking about owls hooting and heiau, luakini heiau? But now that you know the story of Kapolei and the rescue of Kapolei from certain death by his owl aumakua, you can understand the idea of a person being desperately ill and being rescued by his aumakua from certain death and brought back to health again. So we will chant A'aimano. And so if you have anyone in mind that you know would benefit from this healing, think on them as this puʻu is sent out. So this chant of healing, within this chant of healing, hides the story of Kapolei and points to how in Hawaiian stories, prayers, and songs, the untold backstory is just as important as the story itself, and how a mastery of the integrated knowledge system of Hawaii would require learning much more than a single discipline, and learning a whole foundation of stories and chants and hula before any particular puʻu could be fully understood. Today, as we stand at this site, once occupied by Puʻu heiau, not a trace of the heiau remains. Much has been lost over the centuries. The winds of change have blown them away. This is why we come here every year, so that such things are not forgotten. And this philosophy is expressed even in the instruments that we use. Of these, one of them, called the oewe, which is a hollow gourd with a single opening and a long cord whirled about to produce sound. it was once almost never seen in hula, but is enjoying a resurgence today. The winds of today are what give this instrument its voice. As the wewe is whirled rapidly, the wind whistles through it and provides accompaniment to our next hula. Makaniku honua is a chant that evokes the wind and points to the connection between wind and voice. Voices calling, voices listened to, voices of birds on their nests, and continuity of life and learning, following on the legacy of Kamehameha. Makaniku honua. So now we come closer to the time of sunset. We're entering into that golden hour that photographers love so much, when the sun is low on the horizon and faces are given a golden glow. But it also affords us a little bit of time to learn the chant to the sunset. And in this case, we want all of you to participate. And so the board on my left has the words to the sunset chant that we're going to do. As we gaze from this site at Puʻu, if you look out to the dim outlines of the Waianae Mountains out across the bay there, you will see toward the left end of the land a little cinder cone called Puʻu Kapolei. Puʻu Kapolei, you can see the rise and then a little concavity, and then the other lip of the crater. And it is into that crater that the sun will set on this day and this day alone as it passes in its course toward its northernmost extent of setting. And later on, at the longest day of the year, on the summer solstice, it will be setting somewhere over the middle of the Waianae Mountains and will begin its reverse course back out. And during the winter months, it will be setting largely over the sea. It's these kinds of things that you observe if you pay attention to the slow seasonal changes. But on this day, and this day alone, normally May 2nd, but because this is a leap year, we had an extra day in February, and so it's on May 1st this year. There were 4 years ago exactly, the previous leap year, we failed to take that into account, and we were here on May 2nd, and when the sun set, it set slightly to the right of where it should set today. When you look at the sun, you would say, that's not over Puʻu Kapolei, it's kind of to the left and above Puʻu Kapolei. Can you guys see Puʻu Kapolei out from here?
Yeah.
Okay, and the sun isn't right above it, is it? It's kind of a misconception that the sun sets straight down. The sun doesn't set straight down. The sun describes a parabola in the sky, and so it rises at a slant, goes across to its zenith, and then sets down again at a slant. And so even though it's slightly to the left of Puʻu Kapolei now, by the time it gets down to the Puʻu itself, it will go right into that concavity there. The first time that we had a clear day and I saw the sun, I said, oh, I think we're off. I don't think it's going to set in there, but it slid right across to the right and went right into the Puʻu. Okay, so now we're only about one hand width above the thing, and that will give us enough time to learn this chant. So, if you guys are far away, come a little bit closer. We want to be all around this board here, and we're going to learn this, chant. Come up to me.
Come on. What we're going to do is, after we learn this, we're going to take this board up to the edge of the sea, up to that wall over there. We'll all stand along the wall. You'll all be able to see the words. and we're going to chant to the setting sun as it goes in. Here's how the rule of it goes. The sun will come down, and as it touches the horizon, the chant begins. And by the time the sun goes all the way down, the chant is finished. And so you folks will have chanted the sun down into its proper place at the start of the summer season. The red parts are your parts. They're not that hard. Okay? The first word is velo. 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 Okay, so everybody try velo, velo. Ready? Okay, so I would say he awine kala velo, velo. He awine kala. Not bad. I heard the folks behind me. You guys have way more numbers than they do. So, we're going to try that again, and this time really belt it out, okay? Velo, velo, that's not that hard, right? Much better. Nice. Okay, I think we're getting into the mood of it now. The next response is nakolo, nakolo. Velo means what does velo mean? It means sinking, sinking. And then nakolo, nakolo means crawling, crawling. In other words, it's not going fast; it's going slowly down. Okay. So and ke'auine kala means the sun is moving down. If you know your times of day, kakahiaka is the morning, avakea is the noontime, awinala is the afternoon when the sun starts to descend, and so awi is there. Awi means to descend. So ke'auine kala means the sun is descending, and you go sinking, sinking, velo, velo. It says the dust is upon us, and you say it's crawling, it's crawling. And then I say the sun is setting below, and you say in the mole of lehua, in the root or base of lehua. Okay? So ika mole or lehua. But let's get nakolo, nakolo first, right? It would be he mo lehu lehu maine nakolo, nakolo. He mo lehu lehu maine nakolo. Nice, that sounded good. And then I go po kana po ana ilalo ikamole ole hua po kana po ana ilalo ikamole ole hua. Dude, there's a cadence to this, right? It's kind of a swaying thing. So, he awine kala velo, velo. He awine kala mo lehu lehu maine ke mo lehu lehu maine o kana po ana ilalo o kana po ana ilalo. Yeah. And then emoy means to sleep, yeah? So ma'alihi lani means at the horizon. And then you guys reply to sleep, emoy. Ma'alihi lani ma'alihi lani. Not bad, not bad. Okay, and so what we're going to focus on now is to get the timing of it, and so that you don't even need this board anymore after a while. Okay, velo, velo, nakolo, nakolo, ikamole ole hua, right? Ikamole ole hua, and then emoy, emoy. What could be easier than that? You guys can do it. You guys are sharp, I can tell. So we're going to practice it over and over until the sun is almost, you guys tell me, right? We don't want to miss it. When the sun is almost to there, we're going to practice it to there. Okay?
He awine kala. He awine kala. He mo lehu lehu maine. He mo lehu lehu maine. O kana po o anai lalo. O kana po o anai lalo. Maalihilani. Maalihilani. So, you know, the rule of Puʻu or Oli is that the kapu is, if you start it and you go all the way to the end, then the kapu is complete and you can complete the thing. When you're teaching it, you teach it all the way, but you don't end it, because, you know, to end it would be to actually present the thing. So we can practice all these parts that you do over and over and over while we're getting it pa'a in our brains, while we're getting it solidified in our brains. But once we start it for real, we go from the start to the end, and there's no stopping. Okay, that's the rule of these kinds of things. So let's try that again. He awine kala. He awine kala. He mo lehu lehu maine. He mo lehu lehu maine. O kana po o anai lalo. Okay, so when we do that line, when I go o kana po o anai lalo, ikamole o lehu, I have to stick to the beat of it, right? So don't start too late. When I go o kana po o anai lalo, ikamole o lehu, o kana po o anai lalo. Much better, much better. Okay. Maalihilani. Maalihilani. Now, if you didn't have this in front of you, would you be able to do it? I think we're getting there. I think we're getting there. Okay. What's the first response? Okay, what's the second response? The third one is the hard one. What's the third response? And then the last one's easy. See, you can do it without the paper. Maybe we won't even take the paper to the edge. No, I think we will. We'll take it to the edge. For those of you who are literate. Okay, we're going to practice it a couple more times, and then I'm going to tell you what's going on as we're doing this over here, because you are participating in an island-wide phenomenon. It's an interesting thing. But let's practice it one more time. You know,
I think the cadence of this oli is supposed to be much slower, because you're supposed to be starting it when the sun touches the horizon, and you're supposed to end it when the sun disappears below the depths. But at the rate that we did it, the sun would definitely still be up in the sky when we do it, right? So what we often do, because when we're nervous we do things faster, is to do this repeat part twice before we get to the concluding part of the thing. Okay? So let's practice as if we're going to be doing it that way. Ready?
Okay, so now what we're going to do is, without the backup of the chanters, I want to hear how you guys sound as we do this, alright?
Okay, tomorrow night. Come back. Yeah, it's a beautiful.
That way, north, yeah. So I would say champagne. Yeah.
Spread out.
Yeah, sound good. Yeah.
This only that. This only. Oh, after the. Well, we're not going to do the halal
That's early. It's only 7. Yeah. Oh, yes. Well, we'll buy it. now we'll use our camera. Take yours. How many megapixels? Probably
That sequence was from the eastern pillars where the sun rises to the western pillars, from the western to the northern pillars, southern pillars, western pillars. We live in the realm of Kanaloa, and here is the edict of Kanaloa. Strive for good work. Work for the multitude. So at the four quarters, we acknowledge that we live in the realm of the Puʻu of the ocean, and his edict to us is to strive for the breath of life. Ceremony is completed, couple is lifted, and we're free to go.
Corona,